Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. In this one, we are going to be doing our post-match review for the last game of the Rugby Championship. As you can see beside me, the Springboks, they got themselves the 38 points to 21 victory over Argentina. It was not enough, though, to secure the Rugby Championship. This year, it is going to be with New Zealand in a game full of cards, full of penalties, full of interesting moments. We're going to be breaking it all down on this post-match review, but 6 yellow cards throughout this game, the most I believe we have had in the Rugby Championship. And I even have to question that because this is one of the competitions I think we've seen the most yellow cards for a very long time. We have got Glenn in the chat. Great commentary. Thanks listening from the Cayman Islands, says Glenn there. So hugely appreciated you being here for this contest. So the Springboks, they started off, they had a good game plan, I should say. They managed to get a lot of penalties against the Pumas. It was working. Players going to the bin for the Pumas. Tries slightly starting to creep in for the Springboks, but then something changed. Now, I don't know what it was, but something went wrong around that 35 to 40 minute mark. The Pumas got themselves back into the game with Gonzalo Bertrano's try. And then after that, we did see in the second half, the Pumas, they came out firing, able to keep themselves close in the game. And then South Africa scoring 2 tries at the end of the match to be able to secure the victory. They should have kicked penalties in the beginning 10 minutes. That is very true. This is one of those games that when you look back at little moments in it, you start to notice, some things that should have happened, some things that shouldn't have happened. For the Springboks, they turned down 4 easy kickable penalties in their first about 20 minutes of the contest. You look at the scoreboard, you add an extra, that's an extra 12 points. So you're looking at 50 points. 221, only needing 10 more extras somewhere along the lines to be able to get themselves number 1 on the Rugby Championship. But there were good moments in this game. We did see some brilliant play from Jasper Wiese for the South Africans. I'm sure when we look through at the statistics, he is going to be a player who pops up quite prominently. Malcolm Marx had a good game. Juan Martin Gonzalez did a beautiful step round Willie LaRue to score his first try of the match, but not his first of the Rugby Championship. That man already having the 4 tries to his name now. And yeah, it's going to be possibly a long one. So sit back, enjoy the show, and we will be breaking it down. We have got Juan Martin Gonzalez, Willie LaRue so dirty. I had to take a shower after that, says Sebastian. That was one of the coldest steps I've seen from a blindside flanker in a very long time. He did a little stutter, and then he went one way, then he went the other. It's beautifully done by Juan Martin Gonzalez. And it did lead to that try and slightly the momentum shifter. And also exactly bad call by Sia. Not sure what Fuff contributed. Ill-discipline, says Yanni. Yeah, the bomb squad didn't quite fire the way that they would have liked them to. I believe the only player who came off the bench who was relatively effective, you'd probably say Kurtley Arinsa. And then maybe to an extent, a little bit of Huaka Smith or Dwayne Vermeulen. Other than that, I don't think anyone really had a pure impact on the contest. Whereas for Argentina, Guido Petti, he made his way out onto the field early for Pablo Matera's injury. I felt he did very well. Thomas Kubeli brought a little bit to the game later on in the match. But yeah, the benches, it was surprising. The Springboks, they decided not to use too much of that bomb squad until in the second half. Koch as well, says Arnie. He didn't do too badly out there on the field. In fact, Vincent Koch probably the better of all the South African players off the bench. How about the ABs turn around after a solid hiding from Ireland? And yeah, Ian Foster managed to retain the trophy, says Nathan. Yeah, that is probably one of the more impressive feats in the Ian Foster era, I should say, as well. But looking through at a few of the head-to-head stats, Springboks, they scored 5 tries to the 3 of Argentina, which did mean they didn't get that attacking bonus point that they were after. 292 meters carried for the Springboks compared to the 334 of Argentina. So throughout this match, in a game that we felt the Springboks had to be more aggressive than ever with the way that they ran the ball, they ran the ball less than Argentina, which I think was certainly costing them. They did go for the corner many times over in the early stages of the match. Makazole Mapimpi had 1 run of the ball. Soon as he did, the try was scored. Kurtley Arinsa runs in the corner at the end of the match. So I just think they underutilized those fellas out on the wing. Whether that is Cannon Moody, he got a couple touches, not really too much going on for him. And Makazole Mapimpi out on the other wing. So who actually won the tournament, says Cabello? So New Zealand finished in first on 19 points, South Africa in second on 18, and then it was Australia on 10, Argentina on 9. And poor Joel Scalavi finding himself at the wrong place at the wrong time. He had an absolute shocker off the bench. Unfortunately, he dropped the ball. He also gave away about 2 or 3 penalties. Then he gave away the penalty try and the yellow card. Just went from bad to worse for him, and it's certainly a game he will want to forget. Defenders beaten 20 from South Africa. A good number there compared to the 17 that we did see from Argentina. They made double the offloads, the Pumas, 8 compared to the 4. And then also penalty-wise, there were 22 against the Pumas, 17 against South Africa. So we had 39 penalties in this game. I thought 33 last week was bad in terms of those numbers, but 39. That's 1 every 2 minutes. That is huge. My contest, but yes, 6 yellow cards. Very busy day for Damon Murphy, having to reach into the pocket. But the thing is, the Pumas really brought it back in the second half. They only gave away the 8 penalties compared to about the 13 or so that we did see up against the Springboks, which is why that momentum shifted, why we saw even Etzebev get himself the card, Faf de Klerk as well, ended up getting carded, and then Argentina, they were collecting them. They managed to get 4 yellow cards, I should say, themselves. Looking through at the yellow card recipients, Geronimo de la Fuente, Marcos Crema, Juan Martin Gonzalez, and then also Joel Scalavi also had that yellow card. But we will be looking through some player stats in a very short moment. We will read the chat as well. The Freedom Cup, the Bledisloe, the Rugby Championship, now the World Cup for the ABs. Says Card Crazy. And also we've got the congrats to the ABs. Happy to come on if you want. Says Rugby Itch. We can do in a short moment if you are keen. If you want to talk about your box and what they did wrong in this game, because we're probably going to have to go deep into it for this one. And how did Argentina finish this game intact? Says Troy B. I think they just seem to want it more. At the end of the day, they conceded that late try. They kept it close throughout a majority of this match. Every time the Springboks tried to run away with it, the Pumas, they were able to get themselves another try back, and then that is what happened multiple times, just a 10 points difference. And don't get to hear yourself at the AB's fan, says Yanni Van Veek. And there as well, and also pathetic bot, says Ricardo. Yeah, not the best performance at all, and Alejandro has said why. Is that why to the yellow cards or why to the breaking down what the Springboks did wrong, Alejandro? Do let me know. And also, this was the best rugby championship. Congrats to the All Blacks. Yes, the Springboks did not win it, but I am happy we lost it to the ABs. Says Sandelia, I'm waiting for the Box fans to come and blame the ref. Says G2 Geeks. I mean, at the end of the day, some of the decisions, when you've got 39 penalties against 2 sides, not everyone's going to agree with all of them. That is for sure. And also, the ref must have a really sore arm. Kept raising it. Yeah, 39 times. He had to put it up. The lineout's not straight. They were another story. He had about 10 of those throughout and thought we did not get the championship. We still celebrate the win. Although we did not get the championship, we still celebrate the win. A great way to finish the Heritage Day. And your pronunciation of the names is very impressive, Hamish. Says T7. Do appreciate that a lot. And but All Blacks helped by referee last week. There it is. Right on cue. We did mention about the refereeing, how someone would mention them. The thing is, I think the refereeing throughout the Rugby Championship next year needs to improve. There were decisions that went in all teams' favours. There were decisions that went against all other sides. And just way too many yellow cards, way too many penalties throughout the competition. And I think that's something they need to really look at. And great to see you as ever. Looking vertical smart, Hamish. Says Darren Smith. Do appreciate that, mate. And Wales to win the Rugby World Cup 2023. And also such a gutsy performance from the Pumas. They didn't go once for the kick. Instead, they kicked it into touch and tried to get over the line. Even their scoring mentality has changed lately. Exactly right. And that's the thing. They didn't want to be the team that were just pretty much looked at as the side that needs 40 points scored against them. They said, nah, not happening. If you're going to beat us and you want to beat us by that much, you're going to prove how strong you really are. And the Pumas stepped up at times in this game. South Africa, they didn't do the same thing, though. They made the mistakes. So many times they could have run in a try, just a little knock on, a little mistake at the rolling maul, like even Etzebev's disallowed try. Arunsa scored the first and the last try of the Rugby Championship. That is actually an awesome stat that you have got there, DJ. Very impressive for Arunsa as well. And he didn't play any of the games in between, which I guess makes it just a little bit more special for Kurtley Arinza. My tongue's not working. I'm ecstatic with the All Blacks revival. Sympathy to the Bok. And yeah, as well. And also, shame you aren't doing the Super League Grand Final, says James. When is that taking place? Is that already... When does the Super League Final take place? I have no idea who is in any of the teams. Super League Grand Final. I'm going to have a look. See when it's taking place. It is taking place on the 24th of September. Oh, hang on. Has it already been? Or is it about to be? Opening the scoring. Oh, it's actually happening now. And also, we have got that Chris has said, Hamish, dude, you need some sleep. I will get some sleep at some stage, of course, in the near future. I believe after I sleep, George is coming around. We are going to be doing some more recordings. We did a couple hours before the live streaming today, which means that I have been talking for approximately 17 hours, somewhere around there. So just a regular day at the office, really. And also, Mark's was not good today. The locks were sus. See, that's the thing. Mark started well, I felt. But then it went downhill after that. His lineouts were not as accurate as they normally were. And yes, Professor were good. Peter Statoya at this rate should be sent to get game time in Japan for Bjorn as well. Krill did step up, though. There were some niggly penalties. And huge respect, says James Cody and All Blacks all day. Michael Checker and David Kidwell did an awesome job with the Pumas squad and great game. Thanks for the stream. Good night, boys, says Evan Fundermerva. So now we look through at player stats. Then we will have a guest on in a short moment, looking through at the leading running meters for South Africa. Is going to be right at the top of the bunch, Jasper Wiese. I feel like he is my man of the match. The way that he played in the first half, it's a shame he only had one half, because he could have easily kept on tearing it up for the Boks. 58 meters carried, 9 carries, 5 defenders beaten, and got the try for himself as well. Shout out me, says Logan. Shout out to you, mate. Hope you are doing well. Damien Dialenda, he had a pretty solid game as well, though. 51 meters carried, 6 carries, 6 defenders beaten, 1 clean break. And then Dwayne Vermeulen, he had 45 meters carried when he did come off the bench. So a decent bit of an effort from Big Thor there. Looking through it, Argentina, 52 meters carried for Juan Cruz Malia. 7 carries, 3 defenders beaten. Also alongside that, Juan Imoff, he had 31. Juan Matan Gonzalez scored the try and got 33 meters in the bank as well. 1 defender beaten, 1 clean break. Fortunately, that was Willie LaRue, and that was his ankle breaking after he did run round him. At Ura Paleto off the bench, having 38 meters carried. Yeah, man of the match. I would give it to Jasper Wiese if I was in charge, but I certainly am not, because I'm just about to see the tackling stats. And Jasper Wiese, he had 7, so it's a little bit low. So maybe it goes more in favor of someone like Asia Khaleesi. Actually also scored a try. How many running meters did Khaleesi have? I'll just go back, have a quick look. He had 12 meters carried. So not a huge amount of running, but he made 11 tackles. Same with Ludiacha and Malcolm Marks. 9 tackles, 2 turnovers, 1. Wallabies breathing a huge sigh of relief. They avoided complete disaster here. And the ABs sees a max of plays there as well. For the Argentines, it was Marcos Crema. 14 tackles made, 1 turnover, 1. And then also 8 for Gonzalo Burrano. He was able to get the 1 turnover, 1 in the process. And then after that, I would say the only real other stats to look at is probably looking at the amount of penalties against some certain players. 2 against Sia Khaleesi, 2 against Eben Etzebeth, 2 against Dwayne Vermeulen, 2 against Faf de Klerk. And then we look down at poor Joel Scalavi. 3 penalties against him and the 1 yellow card. He did not have the best game. Agreed. Jasper Wiese, man of the match from an All Black supporter box. And Argentina played a good game. Great rugby, says Roykus Jacobs. And yeah, that's the thing. The Rugby Championship, as much as people have questioned some of the decisions that have been made by referees throughout the contest, both sides in every competition have still thrown absolutely everything into it. And I think it's made the Rugby Championship, I don't know, it feels a little bit more credible now, because all of the sides are all competing at the top level. Works very well for them. And we hear the bro, or I want to hear the David Kidwell speak Spanish. He's mistaken for Mexican cartel, says Nathan. And there is also what we're quickly going to do is we are going to send our invite off to our guests. Some of you will know him as Tim. Some of you will know him as Rugby Itch. And I know him as both. Ooh, bit fancy. But we'll send that invite over to him. One moment. And yeah, we will be talking about this just a little bit more. There is a game coming up later on, the Lions versus Ospreys. We won't be covering that match, though, mainly because my voice will not exist at that stage of the evening, I would think. And also, if we're doing the recordings tomorrow and the match tomorrow night, I will still need some sort of voice available. Bongi will be back in the number 2 jersey. We should revert back to the 5-3 split. Arinsa walks back into starters. Moody is good. But for now, I'll let him get time at the URC level. Let him get some experience for now. I agree that they need to go with 5-3 split, because as soon as you end up with any sort of penalty, or not a penalty, sorry, any sort of injury, you're pretty much buggered, because you just haven't got enough players to be able to replace all the backs. The last thing you want to do is a big reshuffle. I will say Frans Steyn, I don't believe, is the fly half going forward. He didn't have the best game at all. Missed a lot of the kicks for touch, which is one of those ones when you're willing to take on kicks for touch rather than taking on the 3 points and you don't find touch. That is one of the things that really hurt you out there on the park. And Frans Steyn did find that out firsthand in the most recent matchup. Heck no, Argentina ill-discipline and come in rugby schedule, please, says G2 Geeks. And will you do the Munster? The Munster do overlap with Harlequins versus Exeter Chiefs, so we will not be doing the Munster game, but we will keep you updated in the one. And yes, Vavisa solid, says Nathan there. So the next game that we are doing for the rugby, it is actually going to be tomorrow night at 3 a.m. Harlequins versus the Exeter Chiefs. And then from there, we have got a few other live streams that will be coming up, I believe, next weekend, and also maybe a couple throughout the week. We will have plenty of videos, though, coming out in the near future. But G2 Gigs, if you have got a Discord account, be sure to check out the Kiwi Lads Discord server. I do always post on that one the link to the live streams just before I go live on them, or a few hours beforehand, of course, so you can see exactly what is coming up. Thanks for the awesome commentary, Kiwi Lads. You rock, says Roof there. Do appreciate you a lot for being here. Your predictions, please, for the Autumn Internationals. Ooh, that's going to be a tough one. That's probably a video in its own kind of right, breaking down every game of those Autumn Internationals. I realized I said the Springboks will win by 20. I wasn't actually a mile off. Springboks to win by 17 in the end of New Zealand with a thumbs up from Russell. But now we will bring in our guest, ladies and gentlemen. Like I mentioned, his name is Rugby Itch. He is a Springbok supporter, and we're going to get to hear what he thought of that contest. So I'll go like this, and then hello, Rugby Itch. How do you do?
All good, all good. How are you?
I am doing fine, thank you. My voice somehow is still working, even though I have talked for way too long.
Makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I heard that you've been doing live streams for what, like over 15 hours now? Like, it's been a very
something like that. It's been a nice span, or 12 hours of live stream plus a few hours of recording beforehand. Probably not the smartest play, but luckily the voice has survived.
Hey, it's impressive. It's very impressive, guys. Definitely hit that sub button, of course. But no, yeah, just what a game, though. By the way, definitely not the game that we were all expecting, really, because it's one of those where you really wanted the Springboks to kind of score a lot more tries, kind of make it a bit more a bit more hype in terms of the game and kind of what was on the line in terms of the Rugby Championship. But overall, no, a good game, of course, similar to what we saw actually within the first test between these two sides, where it was really more where the Springboks came really on top, I'd say, within the first half. They were really kind of the team that kind of stood out, I'd say. The Pumas did kind of strike back early in, late into that first half, but I say the second half was a bit more even in that sense. So similar to what we saw in that first test, but overall, good game to watch. I'd say the discipline was probably the one area of the game which kind of lacked, I'd say, for both sides, but I'd say particularly the Boks. Yeah, the yellow card indeed. But no, it was just one of those games where, as a Bok fan, I mean, it was hard to watch because you knew that the momentum of the game was kind of shifting away as soon as they kept, the discipline just was lacking throughout the whole game, particularly from that second half. So, yeah, it was a tough watch, to say the least. But overall, obviously, happy that the Boks, finished off with a win within this Rugby Championship. But of course, congrats to the All Blacks. Obviously, for everyone who is watching, every All Black fan, congrats to you guys because you truly deserve to actually win this Rugby Championship for all the kind of hype that's gone around. Well, kind of all the talk essentially that the media's had around Ian Foster and for what he's I don't know if he was the right man in charge. He's took the All Blacks to a Rugby Championship win. So fair play to him, and of course fair play to the All Blacks.
We have got there from Chris. The irony is if Steyn had gone for the post in most of those cases, he would have been successful. That is the thing that I think really hurt the Springboks, knowing when to take the 3 and when to take the gamble for the corner. And like Frans Steyn, he took one random one from about 55 meters out, got it over, and it kind of came out of nowhere. It was like, why didn't they do that about 3 or 4 times early on in the match? We always knew that the Springboks were going to be able to score tries in this contest, but it was the question of were they going to be able to get enough points to go with those tries?
Exactly.
To really give them the chance there. And also we have got there in the chat, bring back Kobus Reinach. I'm 100% in agreement with that. I keep on putting him on my bench. He doesn't get selected. Gislin Colby thanks to Brian Habana for starting, praising the Lord for his try, says Shane. And also we have got from Sebastian Rikoiwani, man of the tournament, says Sebastian. Are you keen on that one?
Oh, he's definitely in the conversation. I'm definitely not gonna say he's not. He's definitely in that. Yeah, no, I definitely say he's in the conversation. I probably would have someone higher than him, but again, like, I'm not sure if this is controversial, just because I think he's done very well throughout this Rugby Championship. But I actually would go with Samisoni Takilaho. I just believe that he's someone who's really stood out and has been very consistent, I'd say, throughout this Rugby Championship in terms of his performances. So he's probably someone who I would choose as kind of the the man of the tournament, as he said. But no, Reiko's definitely in the conversation for sure.
So who was your man of the match for All Blacks Australia? Out of curiosity.
I mean,
and who was your man of the match for this game?
For the All Blacks Australia one, I think I gave it to Beauden Barrett, or it was either Beauden Barrett or Jordan, because I thought their combinations throughout the game was just on point and they really had it in sync. But I think I gave it towards Beauden Barrett just because I thought he did pretty well to actually control the back line at that 15 spot, because he just seemed, straight away, he just seemed very suited towards that 15 spot. But I believe for this game, though, for the Boks Pumas, again, it's very 50-50, but I'd probably go Jasper Visa, or maybe even it's hard to say who else really kind of stood out for this Boks team, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I could maybe say Curly Alarenza, but it's one of those where I probably give it to Visa, just because I think he was pretty good throughout the game.
Yeah. And Katenda said Willie should be left as an impact sub. He's better off in the second half. Halant should get a chance at 15. And Corsi shouldn't just walk back into the 23, sorry. Get him some game time at the Bulls. And also Sebastian Rikoiwani, man of the tournament, solid on reading the Ops gameplay. And also, you read their play eagle-wise, says Nathan. And cheers, Rugby Itch, says Card Crazy. Loves up Springbok fans. Good game. Good luck for the North Tour. High congratulations to New Zealand on winning the championship. South Africa had their chances at Ellis Park, but against New Zealand, but were too inconsistent. Fully deserved to New Zealand, says 11 JC. Hope you are doing very well too, mate. And hello, my friend. I told you that the Boks will win the game, says Clewin. And also, there's a great post-match analysis. Thank you, says Darren Smith. No worries at all. We have done it on a majority of the rounds of the Rugby Championship. For me in that game, I would say Geordie is the man of the match, says Yazine. See, I think I gave it to Will Jordan just because he actually was more involved this week.
Exactly.
Which
That's
was
what I
great to see.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether or not it's because of the combination of the other players there. Maybe you felt a little bit more freedom because of Beauden Barrett's extra pace that he can cover down the wing if Jordan's not on that wing. Maybe just a little bit more of that attack and urgency. We have also got their Springboks gave away the championship because they made so many silly errors and discipline. Otherwise, would have a clinical victory plus the championship, says Edu. Yeah. At the end of the day, like the Springboks, they gave away 17 penalties.
Yeah, I was say it's over 15 penalties for sure.
Argentina gave away 22, but still 17 is too many as well.
By far. I mean, we even saw throughout the last game, within the first test, these two sides played against each other. Like, it was ridiculous the amount of penalties that were given away. But really, when it's that many that both sides are giving away, something really is just something's up really in terms of their discipline, and something that both teams really need to kind of stress and work on, because if they don't work on that area, when you maybe go into the Autumn Nation games, then they're gonna get a lesson for sure. Obviously when you go against the Northern Hemisphere sides, because what I like to believe is that they're kind of better in terms of their discipline, in terms of kind of like how they kind of they're kind of more grounded in terms of trying not to make as too many incorrect decisions in terms of going to the breakdown, or I don't know, knocking on the ball. It's just like these little things that can obviously count your way. But no, if the Bucks can turn it around in the Autumn Nations, I'll be very happy. Of course, we do play France, which is arguably, I would say, the biggest game in the Autumn Nations, because I haven't seen that game in a long time. To be perfectly honest, I can't actually remember the last time they actually faced each other. So that's gonna be one I'm very excited for. But yeah, they need to drastically improve if they want to beat the France when it comes towards that game.
Also, Ireland, another big match for the Box.
Yes, yeah.
In the Northern Hemisphere tour. Who have the Kiwis got? We've got Scotland, England, and Italy, I believe.
Yeah,
as our three matchups.
I think you have Wales as well, if I'm not mistaken.
We have Wales.
Yeah, I think
Wales.
I think the All Black schedule, to be in all honesty, is probably a bit easier, I'd say, throughout the Autumn Nations compared to the Box. I'm not saying, by the way, that the teams are bad at all. It's just that when you have to play both France and Ireland, it's definitely I'd say a bigger challenge, just going off their form, obviously, this year. So, but no, the All Blacks should do pretty well with that Autumn Nations, and hopefully we can see a lot more rotation. That's kind of what I'm hoping for, because there's some players who just haven't been given the minutes really, or even been able to play in the positions which we feel they may maybe do better in. Obviously you and me talk about Will Jordan a lot, maybe playing at 15. Maybe this is an opportunity to kind of finally test it out and just see if it works or not. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see if it happens or not. But no, excited.
Mm. And Dennis has said, "Was the ref trigger happy?" I think he was very keen on that whistle, but the thing is, when you look at a majority of them, they were still justified. I think it's just both of the sides. I don't know what it was, whether or not they were too fired up or whether they just had something that wasn't quite going right for them at the breakdown, but they just kept on giving away really silly errors, really.
Exactly.
In the breakdown, sadly.
Yeah.
Like those kind of ones where you go over the front, you got your hands on the ground, and then you drag back and try and get the ball, not rolling away penalties. They are a little bit harder to avoid, but it's still going to be the case at the penalties, and the ref was terrible, says Edu. Yeah, 39. I thought 33 penalties last week was high. At 39.
More, yeah.
And this matchup in the Box messed up too many chances and looked flat-footed at times. Ref messed up just as much of the Box too, but the Pumas stayed true to their to their nature by being super dangerous on the attack. And also South Africa played France in last 2018 end-of-year tour.
Yeah. Now you said that, I do remember that actually. I think the Box actually won that game, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's a long time ago, like 4 years ago. We haven't played France, so yeah, no, I'm excited for that.
And also the ref was terrible, says Edu. The ref was terrible in the second half, says Shayla. And the ref was terrible, says Roberto. And as well, it seems like there's quite a bit of agreement that, maybe that the ref did well. No, the ref did terrible, seems to be the agreement we have got.
He's definitely not as bad as the one last week, I'd say, with the controversial decision maybe. But no, to be honest, look, I know it's obviously against the grain of what everyone said. I thought he made decisions which were like, just going back on the penalty count, for example, like how many penalties was it? Like, what was it? 39. Like, I guarantee you that most of the penalties he gave were actually correct, but of course you can't get everyone on point. So I guarantee maybe there's like 5 or 6 maybe throughout there, which yes, maybe there's a talking point in that, and maybe you can discuss further. But I think for most of the penalties he gave, in all honesty, I thought was the correct decision, just because it's one of those games where the Springboks really lacked in terms of their discipline, and obviously the Pumas at times as well. So it's just one of those games where I think both teams really kind of suffered in that department. But no, I thought overall it's a good game, and just excited to see what happens in the future.
Close comp, but I think the ABs deserve to be champs with their impressive points difference, says Nico. And also there are many times where he was using TMO in the first half, and in the second half there was none of that. It was interesting because, like you mentioned, they did have a lot of, about 5 TMO decisions in the first half, I want to say it was. Whereas in the second half, it seemed to just be they were doing everything by the grain of, we think this is what it is, so we'll go with it. The only one that really got checked out was Evan Etzebeth's double-handed push, which I thought was relatively harsh to be a yellow card, because the player still had a long way to go before he got to his teammate Emiliano Boffelli. Like, he bounced off Kurtley Arinsa, or in fact, I think it was Canon Moody, was it?
It was Moody,
he bounced off. So he could have gone the other way, but instead went into his teammate. Springboks have the least foul plays in the whole championship, says Shayla. And also not all of a sudden they were doing everything wrong has the least foul plays. I don't think that's the actual stat. South Africa are the least penalised team in the Rugby Championship. Fun fact.
I think that's what it may be the Pumas. I could be wrong, but I think it could be the Boks. I think they were up there, by the way, in that sense of most penalised teams. So, yeah, wouldn't be surprised.
Because I know, I'll have a quick look, because I know that before this round, South Africa had only given away 9 penalties on average per game, according to Sanzar's website.
Yeah, I'm looking right now.
Penalties conceded, 62 by the All Blacks. Keep that one in mind, Tim. You got that one on the mind?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at it right now on the Rugby Championship.
69 for Australia.
Yeah,
good one, Aussie. South Africa, they've had 52 penalties conceded. And then Argentina, the last team of the comp, they have had 65. So they are actually the second most penalised side in the competition. Yeah. And then South Africa are at the last. And also, which test match has ever conceded that many yellow cards? Come on. Yeah, it is one of the most. Argentina there having quite a few up against them. And the ref should be given that, or should have given that to Argentina team in the first half, says Shayla. And also still a long way to go for the AB, says Nathan. And also AB's just got better and better. I wonder if the new coaches Schmidt and Ryan made a big difference. I think they have overall. I think they've been working pretty hard with the side. And New Zealand was good. Just needed to get the mojo back. So it's going to be interesting where that mojo goes from here, though. Because whether or not they can continue it heading into the Rugby Champion, or sorry, not the Rugby Championship, but heading into the November Internationals. And can we also agree, says Shayla, I assume for the most yellow cards in a game, yeah. The only other game, or can we also agree the ref was Australian? He was from Australia, yes, we can agree on that stat. Damon Murphy. And also the touch judges, where were the touch judges from? One Irishman. I did hear an Irish accent.
Yeah, it was one Irishman, and another one was, where was he from? England, I believe, maybe? I'm not too sure. But yeah, no, it was very mixed in that sense.
We eat them up, says Andrew. And also, we've got Foster got the ace up his sleeve, and then TMO was New Zealand. Says Shayla there. And New Zealand also was New Zealand, and the TMO was New Zealand. Says Shayla again. England.
Just clarifying it.
No. Okay, I feel like we're saying everything wrong here for Shayla.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Like everything we just said was completely wrong.
Was the ref from New Zealand, or was he not? Or like the TMO? I'm going to come on and give my points.
That's brilliant.
Also, we have got there, every referee committee has a dodgy Irishman. There's a Sebastian there. And sorry, says Shayla.
That's a good point there. That's a good
the
point.
TMO. So the TMO from New Zealand, final answer.
There
I
you go.
assume for this one. It was a weird rugby championship, wasn't it? When you really look at it, the amount of penalties against the sides, the amount of cards, the amount of points, the amount of close games, the amount of upsets.
Exactly.
It almost had everything, you know?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited for this Autumn Nations as well, guys, because I know, for the All Blacks, I was talking about them earlier, like how they have the likes of Wales, they have Scotland, they have Italy, and then they have England, of course. So it's going to be very interesting to see, kind of the sides they bring out in that sense. But overall, I think the All Blacks, they were superb throughout this whole Rugby Championship. They, just like you said, the notable names we kind of pick out, I'd say is kind of Reiko. I think he was brilliant throughout a lot of the games. You could say Takalaho was, good on. I was very consistent in that sense. I'm trying to think who else really stood out. I'd say Jordy Barrett. I think he's one that really stood up in terms of his performances, because he's someone. I mean, even I'll admit, I kind of have a it's not the word, like the soft side. It's more of the opposite. It's more of like, I'm kind of a bit harsh on him, to say the least, in terms of what I expect from him. But he was brilliant. So I can't really bring him down. I'm trying to think, is there any players that you would think that kind of stood out for the All Blacks?
I think Caleb Clark stepped up at times throughout the competition. And then Richie Moonga, I feel like, has to get a little bit of a notable one due to how well his kicking did end up going. We have got there from Darren. You both interact brilliantly. Have you thought about a combined commentary for that Autumn Internationals? The only thing with combined commentary that makes it tricky is trying to sync up our clocks.
Exactly.
So that we are commentating at the same time. That's probably the hardest part of it. Our internet seems like it's behaving. Not too bad. So maybe we try it on some sort of match and see whether or not we can get synchronized in that manner. Either that, or I know you do a bit of traveling. You got a trip to New Zealand planned anytime soon.
Oh, I mean, not anytime soon. Surprisingly, my parents are actually going to New Zealand in February, but it's more for a wedding. So, just I definitely can't come during that time just because I have a university to attend to. But no, it's one of those where I definitely want to come to New Zealand in the future, guys. And we'll obviously we'll arrange in the near future. I'm not sure when that date might be. Maybe like it'll be a long time away, to be perfectly honest, guys. Like maybe, I don't know, after the World Cup or maybe 2024, maybe. That's something where I may try to arrange a trip in that sense. But again, I have to kind of, again, I just don't know my plan during that time. But I'd love to though. Love to though.
And too many supporters blaming the ref box need to go back to the drawing board, fix their mistakes just like New Zealand did, says Yazine. And that is something I do agree with a little bit. I know that it's an unpopular opinion at times to say about, but South Africa, for me, they had their chances in this contest. That first half, how many rolling mauls did they have 5 meters out that they could have made into a try? The fact that Argentina were getting penalised every time, it just made so much sense to continue putting that pressure on, and something changed in the tactics. They just went about 30 minutes in, they were like, right, that's not working. We're not getting enough tries, even though if they kept on ticking over at that rate, it would have got them there. But I think they got impatient. They tried to rush things, and that's where Argentina were able to keep themselves in the game and capitalize on that last-minute first-half try of Gonzalo Burfrano. Very unpopular, says Shayla. And that also take away from the championship. Southern Hemisphere Rugby is amazing. Southern Hemisphere T. And South Africa could have won this championship, says Gerhard. Exactly right. They certainly had their chances throughout it.
Yeah, they had an opportunity. They had the opportunity.
I'll be disappointed. All they needed is that win over Australia in the first leg of their 2-match series.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, I'll be honest, guys. This may be a strong take here. I think we had a better chance in winning that second test against the All Blacks than actually the first test against the Wallabies, because I feel like we've always had, I mean, as most Bok fans know, we have a terrible record in terms of when the Boks go to Australia to play. But I mean, to get 1 out of 2 games, I know this might be a bit harsh, bit wrong to say, but I was actually pretty happy with that. I'll take that in the bag. But it was really we have to beat the All Blacks twice, and to not beat them at Ellis Park was just even kind of a bit more frustrating as well. So I'd say that's probably the one which really stands out for me, is the one we should have taken an opportunity there. But of course, in that same game, it came down towards discipline in that sense, and the All Blacks. Actually, they had a yellow card during that time, and they actually took advantage of it, which was just it's mind blowing. So it's just one of those, like, if that never happened, then we could have seen a different kind of champion, at least. But no, overall, very excited, and got it as well.
Bring on the November internationals.
Indeed.
3 weeks of all-out action, about 15 games a weekend, something along those lines, or maybe only about the 10, but it's going to be epic anyway. We will be covering it live on the channel. But nonetheless, I think that is almost the end of this post-match review. It's just ticking over to 7 a.m. New Zealand time. So I will be possibly heading to sleep soon.
Exactly.
Thank you very much for coming on the channel once again, Rugby Itch. And also, if any of the players from either side, farted and the ref heard it, penalty, free kick. If it smelled bad, yellow card, and if it made the ref gag, red card. There you go.
Yep. Get
one of those. Because
I actually do have one more thing to say, guys. In the future, within the next few days, we'll probably make a video maybe on the team of the tournament on my channel, just because I always love doing those kind of videos. So I've definitely come along to Rugby Itch, of course, my channel, to see that, because I think you guys would appreciate that.
All righty. Nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. Hope you did enjoy the coverage. We will be back tomorrow night with the Gallagher Premiership between the Quins and the Chiefs. But thank you all very much for being here, and we'll see you all for the next one.